Your partner Turki Alalshikh said today that he wants to make boxing pay-per-views like $20. He thinks that's a good way to combat piracy. I'm not asking you to change your pay-per-view price, but as someone who knows the numbers, is that a valid way to combat piracy, or do you think you need to focus on punishing after the fact?
Trust me, we know exactly how to combat piracy. I won't tell you extensively what we do every event, but we go after piracy hard, and you saw a few years ago we started prosecuting people.
UFC chief Dana White has made a shocking reaction to Saudi magnates' comments about combating piracy. Dana has denied a decrease in the prices of pay-per-views and vows to put illegal streaming to its last breath. Earlier, His Excellency made some massive revelations in the TalkSport Boxing Radio podcast. In a half-hour-long session, Alalshikh shared his plans relating to the pay-per-views for the upcoming installments of the Riyadh season.
Usually, when I see the pay-per-view high, usually a lot of numbers going and watch the fights illegally. And this is not healthy for boxing and for the platform and for everyone.
Strangely, His Excellency shared sympathy with the millions of fight fans who spend their hard-earned money on freakish PPVs. He promised that he would bring the prices of the 21st September fight to £20 in England and $20 in the rest of the world. He added,
as an example, I will give you an example. I prefer to have 1 million subscribe and pay-per-view with £20.
And 500,000 with 40. I agree.
Yeah. Or less than 500,000. Now with technology and with a lot of things in the social media, the people go around it illegally. Some people, because the price is high.
Moreover, His Excellency has shared his plan to initiate a boxing league next year. Alalshikh is fed up with all these sanctioning bodies and their individual world champions. When Jim White inquired him about this idea, the Sheikh responded, "Yeah, we have a plan for the future to have something like a league, but we haven't discussed about the belts until now. But in my opinion, there are around 68 world champions. It's a crazy number." One can consider that Dana White would have known about these advancements as UFC is partnered with Riyadh season. But White has shown more rational thinking towards this. He believes that the broke streamers will continue to do so even if PPVs drop down to $5. Dana's solution to all this fuss was,
trust me, we know exactly how to combat piracy. I won't tell you extensively what we do every event, but we go after piracy hard, and you saw a few years ago we started prosecuting people. That's how you combat piracy. Start prosecuting people for stealing.
Moreover, he also gave a green signal to participate in Saudi's boxing league in the future.
Turki Alalshikh wants to create a league in boxing that he wants to apparently launch early 2025. Is that something TKO Boxing could help with?
Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Who knows?
Dana White has shown his utmost hate for people who stream UFC or other events of TKO for free. Previously, his team caught some offenders as well. At one point, Dana scoffingly reiterated,
So I went through and I said, you're the guy. And I told my people, I want this guy. Wow. And guess what? We got him.
Dana talked hilarious about this unknown live streamer who got caught. After admitting that they wiretapped his phone, Dana recalled, "We got him. We were watching his house. We were listening to his phone calls so that if he put it up online on Saturday, we get him." The security UFC has employed is so professional that the steamer had no clue that he was being continuously monitored. Dana further went to this story of the recent past.
He pops this link up on Saturday. We got him. And we will arrest him, and I will prosecute him. I will not be nice. I will not give him any leniency whatsoever.
Apart from these live streams of UFC fights televised throughout the world by Russian links, Dana has some other sores as well. Apart from John Jones's absence, Dana is also haunted by the poor reception of the upcoming UFC Noche. In a recent discussion at the Pat McAfee show, Dana explained how he gambled $20 million at the first combat sports events in The Sphere. Dana explained in the show that he chose the dates for this fight way before Canelo's bout was announced by PBC. Some of his plans to rule this Mexican Independence weekend were:
You're doing business with these people all around the world. Do you have to, obviously we've seen you travel to all these and you're very hands-on in this. How is it doing business with all those different types of human beings, and cultures and everything like that? How do you manage it, and how does it go? How does it normally work for you?
It's interesting. Obviously it's different depending on where you go, but it's always, listen, I've had a long amazing relationship with Abu Dhabi.
Dana further captured the Mexican hearts and paid his homage to their culture. He declared that this UFC event at the Sphere would be his tribute to all the hard-working Mexicans worldwide. Dana also promised that this event would be a whole new experience for the pay-per-view buyers at home. He added, "My production team is 24/7 on this one. We had a meeting yesterday down the Sphere. We are getting down the crunch time here, and I am excited to get in there and get it done." But despite all these efforts, neighboring Mexicans are not welcoming Noche for multiple reasons. The biggest reason is the absence of any mega Mexican star in this fight. So, the visitors prefer to watch the neighboring event at the T-Mobile Arena, which headlines the biggest combat star in Mexico. Fans have shared some horrific insights. On Ticketmaster's website, the prices for the premium tickets of Noche UFC were as high as $12,000. The minimum price, or the cheap seats, was $3,000. Being the first sports event in the Sphere, the prices were bound to be higher than on a regular Saturday. Furthermore, Dana White reduced the capacity to around 15,000 in a venue where 20,000 people can be easily entertained. All this proves that a depreciated audience was accepted, and Dana was ready for a considerable loss. After these ticket sales crises, the prices were decreased to fill up the arena. Hence, the $3,000 tickets went down to $750. A Canelo fan argued with the MMA fanatics and posted, "UFC Noche went from $3,000 per ticket to $750. Dana White gonna schedule 10 more empty warehouse Apex cards to make up for spending $2 million plus on this head-to-head against Canelo in the same city on Mexican independence, LOL. That's just silly." Similar statements were made by another fan who was one of the first ticket buyers. He also shared a similar picture on X that says 1,000 words. He posted with a big sigh. The cheapest ticket of UFC 306 went from $3,000 to $1,000 and still calling. The UFC price gouging attempt didn't work. Dana knew that Independence Day weekend and Cinco de Mayo were going to have a big Mexican boxing fight. Before Canelo, these dates were headlined by Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya. The UFC boss added further.
The Sphere card was announced. I know you're not scared of competition, but the T-Mobile is running a Canelo fight that night, and it's Mexican Independence Day. Is that something you expected them to do? And who wins that night, right? Is your Sphere show going to blow them out of the water? Do you think it's going to divide the crowd? What are you expecting from them?
Yeah, I didn't know what they were going to do, to be honest with you, but it's Mexican Independence Day. So you had to assume there were probably going to be some Mexicans fighting other than our Mexicans that night. So, like I said yesterday, I said it is what it is. Here we go. See how it plays out.
Right next one.
Unlike illegal streamers or John Jones haters, Dana has found another enemy. But this is not Canelo or Al Heyman. The UFC boss is a big fan of Saul's boxing and is usually on good terms with Heyman. However, he blasted the MGM company, which owns the T-Mobile Arena. The American martial arts magnate extended, "Canelo's one of those guys that I respect. And hey, I'm good at Heyman." But Heyman snatched that date right away from me. The guys at MGM have done nothing but disrespect me and the UFC for 20 years. It is what it is. Here we go. MGM has some big contracts with UFC. They have hosted some major UFC nights in different stadiums. MGM owns the T-Mobile Arena, and Dana was gutted because MGM allowed PBC to organize a fight on the same night. Contrary to this, Canelo hasn't shown any signs of exasperation in the UFC. The pound-for-pound king is positive that he wouldn't have any trouble in getting a house full. Despite a boring fight, Canelo has earned the backing of his whole country. He passed these comments about the UFC 306.
And I don't care if he's the UFC there. When Canelo fights, he's different.
I like how you talking about yourself in third person, like, when Canelo do something.
Currently busy in the preparation and promotion for his fight against Edgar Berlanga, Canelo is completely locked in. After 61 professional fights and such an astonishing record, he doesn't care about any other sports event on his fight night. During one press conference, Canelo said, "No, I don't have a problem with that. I'm good, just doing my thing. I don't have a problem with Dana. I don't have a problem with the UFC. I think that we are both gonna have to sell on September 14th. Premier Boxing Champion also shared a similar stance. A spokesperson for the PBC revealed that they have no problem with UFC 296 and expect the same. There is no time for insecurities or leg pulling. After praising fans for such an amazing response to both events, he said to The Ring, "It's even more special this year as Canelo Alvarez, boxing's biggest star, will fight Edgar Berlanga on September 14 in what will be the 6th time the Mexican icon has celebrated the holiday weekend in Las Vegas. We wish our friends at UFC the best of luck with their event." Former UFC superstar Chael Sonnen has a mixed reaction to this story. At one point, he thinks that Turkey's PPV reduction would increase the extincting fan base of boxing. He was completely shocked when he compared these prices with the previous installments of Riyadh season.
Saw Alalshikh over the weekend has
changed his pay-per-view prices to $19. Moving forward, they're going to be $19. Now, the first one that I bought each one that he's done for boxing. The first one was Francis and Fury, and I thought I paid $75.
Chael showed his firm belief in Dana's counteraction against piracy. He compared the illegal streaming rates in boxing versus UFC and concluded, I understand that piracy happens, but the difference in Ultimate Fighting Championship and boxing, it never gets talked about, it never gets discussed. UFC has built infrastructure and security that is light years beyond the competition. Sonnen mentioned the recent boxing fight between Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal and how many people watched it without any PPV. Chael even compared Alalshikh's price reduction to the iconic Burger King price reduction failure. To draw more attention, Burger King once reduced the prices from $3 to 99 cents for 3 months. Sonnen thinks that Turkey is doing the same.
Burger King was only going to do that for 3 months. They were just going to do it for a 3-month promotion, and they did. They changed all the signs, and they changed the Whopper back, and it was a totally different price. I want to say it was like $2.89. I mean, it was significantly more than 99 cents. But what had happened is they brought so many new people in. Exactly what their goal was. Exactly what their goal was, to go get new customers to try this. They did. But those new customers didn't understand this was a deal because they were new customers. So when they changed the price from 99 cents back to $2.89, people quit buying Whoppers.
Similarly, former boxer Chris Algieri also thinks the massive price cut downs are not a solid way to increase the fan base.
I don't know if it's a way to fight the piracy, because listen, if you're going to, $20 is still $20. You're going to steal it, you're going to steal it. Free is better than 20. For people who are stealing and willing to do that.
In the end, MMA host Ariel Helwani has recently dropped some justifications for the expensive tickets of the UFC Noche. According to Ariel, some of the lifetime experience at the Sphere will be, this will be the first 1080p TV broadcast of a UFC event in ESPN history. The first time UFC has ever used haptic seats during an event. Haptic seats provide force feedback based on the action in the octagon. Also, this will be the first time at a UFC event that fans in attendance can listen to live audio for the whole event in Spanish. For those who think that Alalshikh is a Saudi mogul who is just crazy about boxing, here is a fact. For the first time, UFC is granting a sponsor the title partner status by rebranding UFC 306 to Riyadh Season Noche UFC. His Excellency Turki Alalshikh is coming after a big feud with Canelo over the fight against Terence Crawford. Instead of Dana White, it was Turkey who spent millions of dollars to organize the first sporting event in The Sphere starring Sean O'Malley. When ESPN asked Alalshikh about Canelo's fight on the same date, shouted in his Arabic accent and threatened, "We will eat him." So, what are your thoughts on $20 PPVs? Will you still consider the broken Russian links? Tell us in the comments and subscribe to our channel. It's a matter of bread and butter for us.